This guy is a friend of mine, Stephen Brooks. We met many years ago, and I just remember getting introduced to him and hearing his story. He's an ex-baseball player, and so I thought, I just couldn't see, somebody like that in my brain. Baseball player, I wasn't thinking of being this great speaker or being able to convey what he does in the stock market to people. So I said, hey, send me a video. Let me watch this guy. So I got the video, and in the first 30 seconds, I was like, put me on the phone with him, because I was in, right? Great story, kind of like if you think of Chris, you take a professional athlete and they've got that discipline, they've got that drive, and a market plan, and that's what Stephen did. And we've been great friends since then. And he's just one of those speakers that when I hear him, like I'm just totally zoned in. And I hope that everybody here will take a second, get a piece of paper, get a pen, and lock yourselves in full screen to listen to Stephen. Let's go ahead and see if we can get him to mic up. Today he's gonna be talking about beating the market in 2020, one day a week in the market to supplement your income. Raleigh, is that the UPS guy? We don't let him in the house. Don't let him in. Don't let him in.
Right.
All right, looks like he's micing up.
Can you hear me, Jay?
I can hear you. How are you?
I'm fantastic. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good.
Good. Roll Tide.
Corona free. What is it? Footloose and Corona free. Roll Tide.
Absolutely. Always got to throw that in there.
I know. Look, I know.
Did he just say Roll Tide?
He did.
Of course I did.
All people
I know
who
where
don't
I am.
love me, they throw in the Roll Tide. So
I know where I am.
Smooth
right.
move, Stephen. Very smooth.
Always.
Proof that he knows me.
Always. Fantastic. Are you ready to rock and roll?
We are, Stephen. It's
We
all
are
yours.
definitely ready.
Take it away.
All
Yes,
right, here we
can
go,
see
folks.
the screen.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are. How I am beating the market this year in 2020, investing just one day a week, as Jeanette said. Now, before we go ahead and get started, folks, we all kind of know that there are two groups of people when it comes to investing in the stock market. And you have this first group, right? And they kind of have shiny object syndrome. They chase every different strategy and tactic. They try to day trade, and they buy high and they sell low. Now, the second group, folks, they are patient. They are conservative yet consistent. They go for the best resources, the best knowledge, and the best strategies, and they are selective. Now, that second group, folks, that is the group that I've been a part of my investing career. And because you're all from here today, investing your time in your financial education, I know that you too are part of that second group, folks. And because you're a part of that second group, folks, I have something today that I think is right up your alley, because this is the kind of stuff that we look for. So here's what you're going to learn during this training. You're going to learn, of course, how I am beating the market this year, investing just one day a week. You're also going to learn how the top 1% of all investors are able to make money each and every year. And trust me, folks, you can do that too. Now, on this training, I'm going to show you how to profit while completely bypassing having to know about charts, balance sheets, indicators, Fibonacci's. For what I am teaching you on this training, you do not need to know any of that. And finally, folks, I'm going to show you how you can scale up your investments and put it on semi-autopilot. Now, my big promise to you for being on this training is, first of all, you're going to have a blast. This is a ton of fun, and I absolutely love teaching individual investors and traders how to be much more consistent with their results. So here is the deal. If you are new to investing and you pay attention for the entirety of this training, I promise not only will you feel the stock market is way simpler than you thought, but you'll be able to start making your first profits immediately following this training. Now, I know we also have folks on this training who are not new to this game. So if you too pay attention for the entirety of this training, I promise you'll be able to add these methods to your already arsenal of ideas. But why is this important, folks? Why is this so important? Well, if I give you one idea today, just one solid idea, it could very well change your financial future, because the reality is you are just one trade away from financial freedom. And I hope to be able to share that with you right here and right now. But first, I have to know if you're in the right place. So if you are new to the stock market and you want to jumpstart your success, well, then this is for you. If you are an experienced investor looking for a big time income boost, then this is for you too. If you want to supplement or replace your income, or if you're looking to achieve financial freedom, then you are in the right spot. And finally, folks, if you need a specific step-by-step plan and want to avoid learning it all on your own, then this is for you. This is something anyone could do, even very part-time. Now, guys and gals, I hope you're starting to feel like you're in the right place. If you are in the right place, let me know in the chat box right now by giving me a big fat 44. I want to make this as interactive as possible, so please give me a 44 in the chat box if some of these sound pretty dang good to you. Fantastic, fantastic. We have quite a few people in the right spot. This is great. So my goal for this training, folks, is to make this training worth at least $5,000 to your investments. And these are the exact same strategies that I use and I share with my students, and they work. So there's no doubt in my mind, you're going to get the kind of value if you commit with me. So my ask is that you treat this training as if you paid $5,000 to learn this. And what this really means is, look, I know right here, right now, you have every opportunity to be distracted away from recovering on this presentation. But if you want that $5,000 of value free, you have to limit all of those distractions and stay all the way until the end. Now, speaking of that, folks, full transparency, I don't want anyone to have any anxiety about what might happen at the end of the training. We do have a community called Market Hero that will extend an exclusive invitation to you for being a part of this training with me today. But you should know, if you want to join later on, there's going to be a ton of incentives and a giant discount, which I want to go over very, very quickly. So Market Hero, folks, is everything you need to make more money and save more time doing so in the stock market. Now, folks, this is the single biggest theme for the training that you are on right now, making more money and spending a lot less time doing so. You're also going to have exclusive access to our private Facebook group and our weekly live webinar trainings. Now, on my website, Market Hero currently retails for $5,000. But again, as I mentioned before, because you're all here today, there's going to be a ton of incentives and a giant discount. So the decision will be completely up to you at the end, but I just wanted to be 100% transparent so you could focus on the training and not worry about what comes next. And again, I promise you that if you pay attention, you're going to get that $5,000 of value out of this training. Does that sound like a fair deal to you? Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So how is this training going to work? Well, first of all, I'm going to tell you just a little bit about who I am, maybe 30 seconds or so. Then you're going to hear from a few of my clients and students, and you're going to learn what they did to crush it in the market. Now, here's the deal. Our most successful trainees have been our most active trainees. So feel free to ask away. And what we're going to do that is we're actually going to pause a few times during the actual training to answer some of the questions that are pertinent to what we're talking about at that point in time. And if we don't get to every single one of your questions during the training, don't worry, at the end, we will stay on as long as we can to make sure all of your questions have been answered. So who is this Stephen Brooks character who has been going on for the last handful of minutes? Well, yes, folks, that is me in the top right corner of the screen. I am a former professional baseball player, and I did play in the Kansas City Royals organization. Now, there was a former life. Since then, I've made over $1 million of profits in the stock market. I'm currently an invested coach to clients all over the world who have combined $27 million under management. I'm also a traveler, a sports fanatic, and a foodie. Now, quickly, folks, what makes this presentation different than all the other ones you've been on before and all the other ones you will be on in the future? Well, folks, we're not going to be talking about charts or balance sheets or Fibonacci's or candlesticks. None of that. Everything that I teach you, it can be implemented immediately by a beginner or expert. And the way we do that is we focus on these unsexy or less risky methods that have worked for years. And as you all will see, are backed by years and years of data. And it's totally cool that I teach you all this because, as we all know, the stock market is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. So there are enough profits to go around for everyone. Now, you guys know the drill. The lawyers make me write this slide. This is not a get-rich-quick type of thing. Nothing really in the world is. And because you're all here today, I know that you already understand that. This is not effortless earnings, folks. You will need to pay attention during this training. You will need to take notes. You will need to ask questions. And you will need to take action on these methods following this training. But just because my methods are less risky does not mean that they are risk-free. And finally, folks, my results are not typical. However, I will walk you through the methods that I'm using to get excellent results. Please, again, folks, understand my results are not typical. And as we all know, there is real risk in trading stocks, futures, options, cryptocurrencies, real estate, Pokemon cards, whatever. While investing does have potential for very large rewards, there is also potential for real risks. So please absolutely consult your registered financial advisor before placing any trades or investments. All right, folks, the pleasantries are over, so we are now into the meat and potatoes of this presentation. So if you did not have a paper and pen up before, you want to go ahead and do it now. On this training live, you'll be taught 2 setups. You might be asking, okay, what is a setup? Well, imagine for a second that you're sitting in your car and you're at a red light. You're not going anywhere, but all of a sudden the light flashes green. That is the setup. And what happens when the light flashes green or the setup reveals itself to us? Well, we just go ahead and drive on through the intersection. That is exactly how simple my top 2 trading methods are. And as you can see, folks, this is really short by design because we're taking all the hype and all the fluff and we are completely removing it. This is really an instructional training with pure value, and it's kind of how simple my system is. Now, folks, before we go ahead and get started, I want you to know these methods, they work hands down. So I need you all to promise you something, folks. I need you all to promise me that after I share my top 2 trading secrets with you, that you will go out there and take action on them immediately following this training. So give me a 55 in the chat box right now, folks, if you promise to take action on my top 2 trading methods immediately following this training. Let me see those 55s in the chat box, folks. Let me see who my action takers are on this training. Fantastic, fantastic. We have dozens and dozens and dozens of those. This is great. So let's go ahead, folks, and dive right into setup number 1, folks. And I call this one the weekly setup. Now here, folks, is a current student of mine by the name of Ginger. Now, folks, full disclosure, I met Ginger roughly 1.5 years ago, back in December of 2018. She came to one of my trainings because she was looking to learn how to be much more consistent with her trading results. She was getting closer and closer to retirement and was looking for that additional income stream in her retirement. So again, folks, she came to the training back in December of 2018, and we taught her this weekly setup, which is the exact same method I'm going to share with all of you in about 2 minutes time. Now, after that, last year in 2019, all she did was she went out there and she utilized this weekly setup. Now, recently I touched base with Ginger and I asked her, hey, Ginger, exactly how did you do last year following my weekly setup? And here's what she said. She said, in 2019, my second trading year ever, I have made money every single month by following your weekly setup trade. This trade has given me the consistency I was looking for. Now, after she told that to me, I said, hey, Ginger, you know what? Would it be okay if you send me over your online brokerage statement so I could run the numbers myself and see exactly how you did? And she said, of course, Stephen. And as it turns out, folks, Ginger actually had a 102% return on her entire portfolio in 2019. In fact, folks, give me a 102 in the chat box right now if you would have loved to have had a 102% return on your entire portfolio in 2019, just like Ginger did. Absolutely, folks, absolutely. So the question is, well, how did she do it? So here's the deal. When breaking down stock market returns, it turns out that there are days of the week which are consistently profitable. In order to locate this profitable setup, we must figure out what days they are. And folks, the good news for you is we have. So in breaking down the profit and loss by day in the overall stock market, folks, we have found a winner. Now, what are we looking at here on the left-hand side of the screen? We are looking at S&P 500 returns from 2000 to the beginning of 2020. So we're looking at 20 years worth of data. Now, the black line, that is the S&P 500. And the S&P 500, it is a basket. It is an index of 500 US-based stocks from many different sectors. So it is a very good overall summary of the stock market, again, from 2000 to the beginning of 2020. And then, as you can see, we have it broken down by each individual day of the week. So we have Tuesday in red, we have Thursday in blue, we have Wednesday in green, we have Monday in gray, and we have Friday in gold. Now, folks, it's very clear to me, and I know it's clear to you too, that since 2000, 20 years, folks, investing on Tuesdays only would have resulted in an investor beating the returns of the stock market. All right, that is the setup. So how do we take advantage of it? So here's what we're going to do. Before the stock market closes on Monday, now the stock market closes at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So before that happens on a Monday, folks, we're going to log into any online brokerage account. We're going to type in these 3 letters, SPY, and we're going to click those big green buttons that buy as many shares of that stock as we can. That's how we get in. Okay, then how do we get out? Well, before the stock market closes on Tuesday, we're going to log back into our online brokerage accounts. We're going to type in those 3 letters again, but this time, folks, we're going to click those big red buttons to sell all the shares we bought the day before. Let's repeat that one more time. At the end of the day on Monday, we're going to do what? we're going to buy. At the end of the day on Tuesday, we're going to do what? We're going to sell. And since this single strategy, folks, has beaten the returns of the market over the last 20 years, we're going to repeat this, right? So we're going to set up these weekly reminders on our calendars, weekly reminders on our phones. We're going to add sticky notes to our computers. But let me ask you a question right now, folks, beginner or pro. Can you do the weekly setup? Can you log in on a Monday? And can you type in 3 letters? And can you click this big green button? Then on Tuesday, can you click that big red button? Because if you were able to do that since 2000, you would have beaten the returns of the stock market by investing just 1 day a week. You know, in the chat box right now, folks, I see Mary Ann, I see Marcus, and I see David asking how this particular strategy fared during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. So if you take a look at the screen, folks, and take a look at the black line, the S&P 500 during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. And as we can see, as the overall market was selling off and selling off very hard, take a look at the red line, folks. Take a look at Tuesday. Not only was Tuesday not selling off, but it actually profited at will during the financial crisis. But that is not all, folks. That is not all. Last year, the weekly setup, a very consistent strategy, 77% win rate. And yes, folks, last year, you could have went out there and just bought stock utilizing this strategy and beaten the returns of the market. However, last year, folks, if you bought calls on the weekly setup, you would have had a 214% return on your entire portfolio. If you bought call spreads, a 153% return, again, on your entire portfolio. If you sold puts, 88%, or if you sold put spreads, a 124% return, again, on your entire portfolio. But that was last year, folks. What about this year? Well, take a look at the screen, folks, because again, the weekly setup in orange is beating the returns of the market in gray this year in 2020. So let's think for a second, the last possible time we could have went out there and taken advantage of this particular strategy. That was yesterday, September 1st. And if you remember, folks, just 24 hours ago, the S&P 500 was higher by 26.34 points. So just yesterday, folks, on buying calls, $100 turned into $278. $500 turned into $1,390. Just yesterday, folks, on buying call spreads, $100 turned into $200. $500 turned into $1,000. And as you could have expected, my members of Market Hero did even better. Charles wrote me a note yesterday. Stephen, I saw a few of your members in the Facebook group talking about the weekly setup in SPY, and I decided to tag along too. I got long yesterday and sold just now before the close for a big profit, at least for me, of $2,780. This was my first trade as a brand new member of Market Hero, and I could not be happier with the quick results. Or Cheryl, Stephen, I have been doing your weekly SPY trade for the past 13 weeks and have won 11 of those for a net profit of, wait for it, $9,239, made about $1,012 on that today. And then she says, look, I am actually withdrawing profits from my trading account to supplement my retirement income thanks to consistent and profitable trades like this gem. All right, folks, that is the weekly setup. If you have any questions specifically on that weekly setup, go ahead and pop them into the chat box. I'll hang around for a few minutes to answer a few questions, and then we'll move on to the next bit of content here, folks. Stephen, for options, which expiration are you talking about? Sure. So the weekly setup can be done via stock or it can be done via options. If you want to go ahead and take advantage of this particular method via options, we use the Wednesday weekly expiration. Nice and simple. Stephen, which website did you find this chart on? So I've never actually been able to find anything remotely close to this on the internet, if you will. The reason I'm able to see this data and have a chart that looks like this is because I purchase the data directly from the exchanges every single month. And then I take that data, pass it off to my data team of data engineers, and they're able to crunch the numbers kind of however we please. So the reason I'm able to come up with something like this is because I own the data, but unfortunately, I've never seen anything like this publicly available, if you will. Cool. Stephen, do you know why Tuesday has beaten the market over the last 20 years? So I actually don't know why Tuesday is so consistently profitable. And to tell you the truth, I'm not really overly concerned about why it is. The only thing that I care about is that it does beat the returns of the market, and it is my job to go out there each and every week and take advantage of it. Very cool. Now, again, folks, because I know we have other speakers speaking after me, we'll go ahead and end this brief Q&A, and we'll try to make the Q&A at the end of this training as long as we possibly can. But that was Q&A part 1. Let's right now go right into setup number 2, folks, and I call this one the trend setup. Now, here, folks, is a current student of mine by the name of Bob. Now, folks, full disclosure, I met Bob years ago. We're talking 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 years ago at this point, through a former baseball players alumni network. And Bob was interested in learning how to make money in the market as a ways to supplement his income, because as a mechanic, he had not gotten an increase in his salary in over 10 years' time. And as you can see, Bob wanted to learn how to invest, but he did not know if he had enough time to devote to it. So once I heard that, I said, you know what, Bob, why don't I give you an hour-long coaching session totally free? I'll show you a few things, and if you like what you see and you like what you hear, we could set up some additional sessions for a few months down the road, and we could take it from there. So you go, sure, Stephen, I will take you up on that offer. So Bob and I met on like a Sunday morning at 6 a.m. at the crack of dawn for 1 hour. Now, the first 30 minutes of that hour-long session was spent setting up Bob's ever first online brokerage account, because to that point, he had never placed a single trade in his entire life. And then the second part of that session was spent teaching Bob this trend setup, which again is the exact same method I'm going to share with all of you in about 2 minutes time. Now, after I shared the trend setup with Bob, he said, you know what, Stephen, you're right. It does only require me to take a look at the market just 1 day a week. And even with my limited knowledge, it is something I feel like I can do. So yes, can we please set up some additional sessions for a few months down the road? And can we take it from there? So I said, of course, Bob. But the problem was, folks, Bob never showed up to any of those other training sessions. And I cannot believe it. I was crushed. I was doing the trend setup. It was working very well for me. And I had so much more where that came from. I could not believe that Bob had blown me off. So finally, folks, like 18 months down the road, I get a random email from Bob and he goes, hey, Stephen, it's Bob. I am so sorry for blowing you off for all those additional sessions. But the truth is, I never needed to meet with you again, because I made 41% investing in the last year just using the trend setup. In fact, folks, go ahead right now and give me a 41 in the chat box if you would like to make 41% on your investments in the next 12 months, just like Bob did. Let me see those 41s in the chat box, folks. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. So the question is, well, how was he able to do this? So here is the deal. When breaking down stock market returns, it turns out there are weeks every year which are consistently profitable. In order to locate this profitable setup, we must figure out what weeks they are. And folks, the good news for you is we have. So when breaking down the profit and loss by week in the overall stock market, folks, we have found a winner. Now, what are we looking at here, folks, on the left-hand side of the screen? We are looking at S&P 500 returns again, but this time, folks, from 1990 to the beginning of 2020. So we are now looking at 30 years worth of data. Now, we have it broken down via 2 ways. The first is the gray line. That is your buy and hold S&P 500. So, of course, if you bought on January 2nd, 1990, you would have made a bunch of money, lost half, made a bunch of money, lost half, made a bunch of money, and who knows exactly where we go from here. Now, the orange line, folks, it is the trend setup. And don't worry too much if you don't understand it 100% the first time, because I'm going to repeat it quite a few times, folks. But the orange line, folks, the trend setup is weekly returns in the S&P 500 following a drawdown or loss of between 0.5% to -3%. So here's what we did, folks. We went back into the data set, and if we ever saw a single week in the S&P 500 that was down between 0.5% to -3%, we would buy the next Monday, sell the next Friday, and add those results to the orange line. Now, folks, it is clear to me, and I know it's probably clear to you too, that since 1990, again, we're talking 30 years, investing in weeks following a drawdown or loss of between 0.5% to -3% would have resulted in an investor beating the market without any of the major losses. So that is the setup. So how do we take advantage of it? So here's what we're going to do. Before the stock market opens on Monday, now the stock market opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. So before that happens on a Monday, folks, we're going to check to see if the previous week in the S&P 500 was down between 0.5% to -3%. And if it was, we're going to log into any online brokerage account. We're going to type in these 3 letters, SPY, and we're going to click those big green buttons that buys as many shares of that stock as we can. That's how we get in. Okay, folks, and how do we get out? Well, if we did buy on a Monday morning, we're going to hang out for the rest of the week, and we're going to log back into our online brokerage account before the stock market closes on Friday. We're going to type in those 3 letters again, but this time, folks, we're going to click those big red buttons to sell all the shares we bought earlier on in the week. Let's repeat that one more time, folks. At 9:30 a.m. Eastern time or before each Monday, we're going to check and see if the previous week in the S&P 500 was down between 0.5% to -3%. And if it was, we're going to do what? We're going to buy. And if we did buy on a Monday morning, we're going to hang out for the rest of the week, and we're going to log back into our online brokerage account before the stock market closes on Friday to sell all the shares that we bought earlier on in the week. And again, folks, since this single strategy also beat the returns in the market over the last 30 years, we're going to repeat this, right? So we're going to set up these weekly reminders on our phones, weekly reminders on our calendars. We're going to add sticky notes to our computers. But let me ask you a question right now, folks, beginner or pro. Can you do the trend setup, right? Can you log in on a Monday? Can you type in 3 letters? And can you buy? And on Friday, can you sell? Because if you had followed, folks, that single strategy since 1990, long time, you would have beaten the returns of the market without most of the major losses. And drum roll, please. And returns of over 1% per week. In fact, here are how the numbers actually break down. As we can see, folks, going back to 1990, the average percent gain per week in the S&P 500 is up about 0.20%. But if we just compare that, folks, to the average percent gain per week following my trend setup, which has a 6 times greater result, up 1.21% on average. But maybe even more impressive is the largest single week loss in the S&P 500 going back to 1990 is down 14.98%. But if we just compare that, folks, to the largest single week loss in the trend setup, a fraction of the maximum loss. Now in the chat box right now, folks, I see Derek and I see Gerard asking how this particular method worked during the last financial crisis. Well, ask and you shall receive. What you're looking at now on the screen, folks, is the S&P 500 in gray compared to the trend setup in orange during the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009. And not only during the financial crisis did the trend setup not sell off, but it actually generated a 20% profit. But that is not all, folks. That is not all. Last year, we saw the trend setup occur 8 times. We had 7 winners and 1 loser for an 87.5% win rate. Again, very, very consistent. And yes, folks, last year, you could have went out there and just bought stock and beat the returns of the market. However, last year, folks, if you bought calls on my trend setup, you would have had a 121% return on your entire portfolio. If you bought call spreads, a 104% return, again, on your entire portfolio. If you sold puts, 51%, or if you sold put spreads, a 108% return, again, on your entire portfolio. But that was last year, folks. What about this year? What you're looking at now on the screen, folks, is the S&P 500 in gray compared to the trend setup this year in 2020. So not only has this particular method beat the returns of the market over the last 30 years, it is also doing it yet again consistently in a very big way right here, right now in 2020. So the last time, folks, we could have went out there and taken advantage of this particular method was on the morning of June 29th, a few weeks ago. And from that Monday morning to the close on Friday of that week, folks, the S&P 500 was higher by 111 points. So on that week, folks, on buying calls, $100 turned into $402. $500 turned into $2,010. On that week in buying call spreads, folks, $100 turned into $200. $500 turned into $1,000. And as you could have expected, my members of Market Hero did even better. Harold wrote me a note. And he says, Stephen, this was my first trade as a new member of Market Hero, and I just closed it out for a huge winner. This week alone, I am up $4,617 from this one single trade. I bought on the open and sold just now and took 0 risk on the trade. So many gurus in the past have promised me the world, but you are the only one who has delivered. Since joining Market Hero, my results have never been more consistent. Or Eleanor also wrote me a note. She says, hey, Stephen, I followed your trade this Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon, I had taken $500 profit off the table, but thought the market could run, so I left half of the position. Just now, right before the close, I took the other part of the trade off for $1,000. So in total, $1,500 in profits with less than 5 minutes of work. It does not get any easier than that. All right, folks, that is the trend setup. If you have any questions specifically on this trend setup, I'm just going to take a little bit of a swig of water, and then I'll come back and answer as many questions as I can before we move on to the next bit of content here, folks. All right, Stephen, how do I figure out the weekly returns in the S&P 500? So we take the Friday close to Friday close. So if you wanted to figure out the returns of this week, we would take the closing price from last Friday and compare it to whatever the closing price is this upcoming Friday. Cool. Stephen, for options, what's expiration? So again, the trend setup can be done via stock or it can be done via options. That's up to you. If you want to go ahead and take advantage of this via options, we use the Friday weekly expiration. Nice and simple, very straightforward. Cool. Stephen, do you send an alert to your members of Market Hero for when the trend setup is a go? So yes, we do. So our members of Market Hero don't have to research, what the S&P 500 did the week before. Let's say for some reason, an upcoming Monday, the trend setup is a go. If you're a member of Market Hero, you will get a notification from me that says, hey, the trend setup is a go, and here is the exact trade that I am doing to take advantage of it. So yes, we do the research for our members so they don't have to do it themselves, and we also show them the trade that I am doing to take advantage of that. Cool. Stephen, what happens if the S&P 500 is down more than 3% on a given week? So in that situation, the trend setup is not a go. Right, there are plenty of other things to do, but in that situation, and one of the reasons why we've been so consistent with the strategy, the trend setup is not a go in that particular situation. All right, folks, I'm just going to go ahead and take one last swig of water before we move on to the next bit of content. But while I do, folks, please do me a favor. Please go ahead and give me a 1 in the chat box if you have enjoyed this training so far, or if you learned something brand new, or maybe you had an aha moment, or maybe you're starting to feel like there's a better way to go about trading in the market, or if you wish you knew these strategies literally 24 hours ago. If you fall under any of those categories, please do me a favor. Please go ahead and give me a 1 in the chat box, just so I know we are continuing to provide you all with a lot of excellent content here today. Fantastic, fantastic, fantastic. Thank you for the kind words. And again, if we did not get to every single one of your questions during this training, I'll stay as long as they'll let me at the end to make sure as many of your questions get answered as we possibly can. So let's recap where we are at this point, folks. We first talked about the weekly setup, which talked about the idea that going back to the year 2000, Tuesday has beaten the returns of the overall market. And then we talked about the trend setup, folks, which talked about the idea that going all the way back to 1990, weeks following a drawdown or loss of between 0.5% to -3% have not only beaten the returns of the market again since 1990, but they did it in a very consistent manner. Now, at the beginning of this training, I promise you that you would learn new ideas that would start making you money immediately, whether you're a beginner or a pro. So I have to ask you, folks, was our time together valuable? Did you enjoy this training? Do you understand now how I'm able to do what I do in the stock market and some of my students are able to get such big time results? And can you see how these setups will allow you to profit immediately, whether you're a beginner or a pro? And do you see how little time and knowledge is really needed to invest? Because here's the deal, folks. I have complete confidence in you. Why? Because you all promised me that you were going to go out there and take action on these methods immediately following this training. And while we did spend about 40 minutes together and go over 2 very consistent and very profitable strategies, there's only so much we can go over. Imagine spending more time together, how much more valuable that would be to you. Now, in the beginning, I also promised you an opportunity to join me in taking your next steps together by joining our Market Hero community, which is designed to give you the exact step-by-step formula for crushing in the market and achieving mountains of success. Because yes, folks, it is true that the weekly setup, it has beat the market since 2000. It did it last year, and it's doing it yet again this year as recently as yesterday. And yes, folks, it is also true that the trend setup, it has beat the market since 1990. It did it last year, and is doing it yet again right here, right now in 2020. But folks, those are only the tip of the iceberg. And Market Hero is designed to get you results big and fast. So why wouldn't you consider something that could practically guarantee your success? Which is why it's my pleasure to extend an exclusive invitation to stock market dominance by becoming a Market Hero today. Now, folks, over the next few minutes, I'm going to go into depth about what Market Hero is. And if you think it's right for you, folks, I want you to get it. And if you don't, I don't want you to get it. Plain and simple. Does that sound fair to you? Very cool, folks. So here's the deal. If you want to achieve true financial freedom or supplement your current income or take parts in the profits that we're getting of up to 19.14% per trade, and you want to do it all by following a proven, modular, step-by-step framework that will leave no guesswork, even if you're a complete beginner, then Market Hero is specifically for you. So here's what's finally going to work for you, folks. The first thing you're going to get with Market Hero are my profit-crushing setups, so you can hopefully make yourself a bunch of money. Now, in Market Hero, we have about 8 dozen or so, but I only have time right now to go over just a few of them, such as setup number 3. It is profitable 91% of the time for an average of 10.75% ROI, and this is simply a once-a-month trade. Recently, TC, one of my members, did this, and as you can see, $1,700 or 52% ROI overnight from this one particular trade. Or Ron, he says this was a very easy trade to do with very limited market exposure. He made $900 less commissions, and of course, he is super happy. Or what about Ben? Ben says, I'm more than made up my membership with this trade. I'm looking forward to more good stuff. On top of that, we also have setup number 7, folks, the 15-minute window each trading day since 2009 that is responsible for 49% of all market returns. Now, back in the month of April, one of my members by the name of Lee, he put this to the test. So what did he do? He logged into his account the exact same time every day, bought the same stock, sold it 15 minutes later, and as a result, made over $4,000 profit investing just 15 minutes a day. Would you agree with me, folks, that this is yet another example of making more money and spending a lot less time doing so? I think so as well. On top of that, folks, we have setup number 14, the 8 days of the year responsible for 36% of all market gains, and we profit in less than 24 hours, just like John did, who made a 42% profit in 1 day from this one trade. Or Silvio, who made $2,800 profit from 1 day from this one trade. Or Satyajit, who made 28.4% again in 1 day from this one trade. Now, the really cool thing about these profit-crushing setups, folks, is not only are they going to hopefully show you how to make a bunch of money, but they are definitely going to save you a ton of time and money by getting rid of those newsletters, those books, that financial advisor, those newspapers, those things that never made you a dime in the first place. In fact, folks, our average Market Hero member saves $213 a month when they come on board because they get to get rid of all these things that never made them a dime in the first place. Now, it is critical to me. Actually, I'd probably say it is vital to me that every single one of our members of Market Hero can participate in every single one of our strategies. So whether you have a cash account, a retirement account, a margin account, a big account, or a small account, it does not matter because you can participate in every single one of our strategies. So here's what you're going to get with Market Hero today. You're going to get those profit-crushing setups so you can hopefully make yourself a bunch of money. You are also, folks, going to get my automation tools so you can save yourself a ton of time and allow the system to work for you without you having to be in front of the monitor to click the button yourself each and every day. You'll also have access to my done-for-you tools and cheat sheets and my morning game plan, which I want to go over very, very quickly. Now, here's an example, folks, of one of our many Market Hero cheat sheets. And all it does, folks, it asks you 3 questions about any stock you're looking at. And based on your answer to those 3 questions, it will reveal to you which of our trades is right for you in that stock on that day. So when you're thinking about these cheat sheets, like imagine for a second that you're sitting at home and you are trading all by yourself. But with these cheat sheets, it's literally like I am standing over your shoulder telling you exactly what I would do. It completely takes the guesswork out of which of our setups to follow. It is a step-by-step handheld as investing comes. Now, folks, if you're like me, you wake up every morning, you look like this. Your hair is all over the place. You don't know where you are. You definitely don't know what time it is. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to flip over and you're going to take a look at your phone. And what you're going to get every single morning from this day moving forward from me is a morning game plan. So think about your favorite sporting teams, folks. Manchester United, the New York Yankees, the Dallas Cowboys, the Los Angeles Lakers. They never go into a sporting event blind. Why? Because they have a game plan. This is your game plan each and every day. So here's what we do, folks. Every single night, we run a very long and very expensive algorithm through our watch list of stocks. We call this our black book of stocks, and we reveal to you each morning what are the trades to take in each of those stocks on that day. So today, for example, if you wanted to do something in Apple, setup number 1 was the way to go. Or GLD, the gold ETF, setup number 9 was the way to go. And of course, my members of Market Hero love the game plan, couple of days ago, David wrote me a note. He says, "You are killing it. I took 14 stocks out of the game plan. 4 are closed today with more than 50% profits, and 10 are still running at the green zone. Am I too greedy? I see dollar signs laying down on the floor, waiting to be picked up. Thanks to you." Now, folks, that was a couple days ago. Here was today. He says, following your morning game plan, I have normally 10 to 14 open positions, while almost every day, 2 to 3 are closing as a winner with 50% profits. Today's winners, Avago, Chipotle, and Disney. This is absolutely amazing. I don't want to show off, but really this is very easy to do. David has a game plan each and every day, folks, and I want the exact same thing for you. So here's what you're going to get with Market Hero. You're going to get those profit crushing setups so you can hopefully make yourself a bunch of money. You're going to get my automation tools so you can save yourself a ton of time and allow the system to work for you without you having to be in front of the monitor to click the button yourself each and every day. You're also going to get access to my done for you tools and cheat sheets and my morning game plan so you know how to attack the market each and every day. And then, folks, I said I wanted to do this together. So for that, you, me, and your fellow members of Market Hero are going to get on a live weekly webinar training with me every single week so you can get your questions answered by me live and see what's working for me in real time. And if once a week is not good enough for you, you will also have 24/7 access to our private Facebook group and email support so you can get your questions answered all day, every day. So the total value of Market Hero is $15,583. But look, folks, I told you at the beginning of this training that we would make this training at least $5,000 for your investments. And I know that we proved that beyond a shadow of a doubt that was dead true. But as you guys also know, I'm not going to charge you $15,583 to get access to the live weekly training, to the automation tools, to the cheat sheets. But I have a question for you, folks. What if I did charge you $15,583? Then would it be worth it? If all it did was make you very profitable by doing trades just 8 days a year, then would it be worth it? Well, of course it would, folks. Why? Because you get to take off the other 357 days. So yes, it would definitely be worth it. Now, if all it did was supplement your income by making a few extra $1,000 every month for the rest of your life in a semi-automated fashion, then would it be worth it? Well, of course it would, folks, because after a few months, you pay off that 15 grand and everything from that point moving forward is absolutely gravy on top. So yes, it would definitely be worth it. Now, if all it did is by utilizing my daily reminders, allow you to never worry about your finances ever again and allow you to spend more time with your family and travel, then would it be worth it? Of course it would, folks. That is a fantastic lifestyle because you see, the total value of Market Hero is $15,583. But everything in Market Hero, folks, is the exact step-by-step formula for how I was able to make over $1 million of profits in the stock market. As you can see, folks, this is a screenshot from one of my trading accounts literally an hour ago. Up about $5,500 today. But it's not just me who's having a great day today. It is also my members of Market Hero. Like Mark, he said GE calls plus 267%, $4,891. Thank you, Mr. Stephen Brooks. And again, folks, that was today. Today, Alex, Docu exited for $1,340 in one day. Avago also exited for $1,805 in 2 days. Thank you so much, Stephen. Or today, Gerald bought CRWD Friday and sold it just now for $5,031. Amazing. Thanks, Stephen, for the opportunity. This is the greatest training program in the world. So let me ask you a question, folks. How many of you, if you could, would write me a check for $15,583, right? It really puts it into a different perspective now, doesn't it? Because Market Hero is not a cost. It's an investment. You see, whether we like to admit it or not, folks, the people around us who are the most successful, they're the ones who continuously invest in themselves, their skill, their mind, their craft, and in their education because they know the investment that they make in themselves are the ones that generate the greatest returns. Now, folks, don't just take that from me. Let us instead ask the wealthiest, most successful investor ever and see what he thinks. Well, folks, Warren Buffett agrees because Warren Buffett says the most important investment you can make is in yourself. So you can see, folks, why it would be a steal at $15,583. And as I told you before, this is a $5,000 offer for everyone else walking down the street. But because you're with all of here today, there was going to be a ton of incentives and a giant discount. So ladies and gentlemen, you can get started today. Get ready for this. For $997 for lifetime access. Really quickly, folks, this is not an automatic rebill. This is not a subscription service. This is $9.97 for lifetime access. So open up those browser tabs, head on over to stephenbrooks.co/VIP and invest in yourself today. Now, if you are thinking, folks, that $9.97 is too much of an investment, here are a handful of our brand new members who made that investment back just this week. Jason, a new member on Monday, wrote me this note. He says, so far with you in my first 2 weeks, I took trades in DocuSign, Zoom, CrowdStrike, JP Morgan, Starbucks, and Alibaba. Currently 8 for 8 with $3,672 in profits on these 8 trades. I knew your program was good, but I didn't know it would be this good. Aaron, also a new member, yesterday wrote me a note. As for Market Hero, since I joined the program on August 17th, 2020, I have now closed 24 trades with 21 winners and 3 losers. Get ready for this. For a total profit after commissions of $32,485 in 11 calendar days. That is just nuts. Again, folks, that is a new member. Andrew, a new member yesterday. I thought I'd get in and post my results so far. As you can see, 10 winning trades, 1 loss, $7,431 in profits. Wow, Stephen Brooks, so far so good. This is living up to its name of Market Hero. Now, folks, I kind of have this saying with my company that if I can't make you money, then I don't deserve yours. So for that, we have a very, very generous 30-day double money back guarantee, and it's a 2-parter. The first part goes like this. I ask you to learn and try 5 of our methods in the first 30 days. Now, you can try them on real money or you can try them on paper money. That's up to you. And if they do not work out for you in the first 30 days, all you have to do, send the information over to my team. And once they verify it, they will instantly refund your purchase, no questions asked. And the second part goes like this. Now, make sure you are paying extra special attention, because not only will we instantly refund your entire purchase, but I will also write you a personal check for $997 cash for wasting your time, which means when you open up those browser tabs and you head on over to stephenbrooks.co/VIP, that the investment that you make in yourself today is completely risk-free. And again, folks, here's what you're going to get with Market Hero. You're going to get those profit-crushing setups so you can hopefully make yourself a bunch of money. You're going to get my automation tools, folks, so you can save yourself a ton of time and allow the system to work for you without you having to be in front of the monitor to click the button yourself each and every day. On top of that, folks, you'll also get my done-for-you tools and cheat sheets and my morning game plan, so you know how to attack the market each and every day. And then, folks, we're going to do this together, live every single week with me, so you can get your questions answered by me live and see what's working for me in real time. And again, folks, if once a week is not good enough for you, 24/7 access to our private Facebook group and email support, so you can get your questions answered all day, every day. Now, you might be asking yourself, well, should I join now or should I join today? Well, for the first 50 new members only, I cannot stress this enough. For the first 50 new members only, you will get to see every single trade that I make in real time. I call these my profit streaming notifications, but really they are just our trade alerts. As you can see, folks, this year we have some substantial results, a very, very high win rate, a very, very high ROI per trade. This is a $10,000 value delivered directly to you, so you don't just get the playbook, you get every single play that I am running in real time. This bonus alone is worth many, many, many multiples of what your one-time investment in Market Hero is, and it cannot get any more done for you. So this morning, actually, Paulette, one of my members, wrote me a note. Take a look at what she said. She said, "Hi, Stephen. I'm feeling so confident since our discussion a few weeks ago that I had to write to you. You really made me feel like I was on the right track. That gave me a ton of confidence to go ahead, place your trades, and walk away. Following your trades in the last few weeks in Sienna, Tesla, Avago, Zoom, and DocuSign, I can now say that I made more than 5 times the cost of the program back. I have so much confidence getting to see the trades that you make." Or Kyle on Monday, take a look at the words in red. He said this. He said, "Stephen, I can't believe that it's over a month actually since I joined your service. I have taken all of the trades you have sent and they have all been profitable. If this continues over the course of the year, I will actually have a real retirement plan, so I will be able to supplement my Social Security income." Now, I wanted to sweeten the deal for you even more today. So not only are you going to get access to the data, to the studies, my trades. But when you are one of the first 50 new members, you are also going to get a one-on-one phone consultation with me. That's right, with me, not with someone on my team, with me. This one-on-one consultation, folks, it costs $997 for everyone else walking down the street. But because you're with all of them here today, it's going to be a bonus, absolutely free for the first 50 new members to join. Ask yourself this question. In what other program have you ever heard that you get to speak one-on-one with the owner of the company? That is what Market Hero is, and that is how invested I am in your success. So again, folks, this is $997 for lifetime access. This is not a subscription. This is not an automatic rebill. It's $997 for lifetime access. And again, folks, it is fully backed by our 30-day double money back guarantee. So open up those browser tabs, head on over to stephenbrooks.co/VIP, and invest in yourself today. Now, we have done a deal with PayPal Credit for our US customers only. Unfortunately, PayPal does not extend credit to our international customers, but they can still pay via credit card. So if you live in the United States and you head on over to stephenbrooks.co/VIP, there will be a blue button on the page that says Pay with PayPal. If you click on that button, you'll be sent over to PayPal. And if you check out via PayPal Credit, PayPal will give us the $997 investment today, and then you will enter into a payment plan with payments as low as $27 a month. So if you live in the United States, you want to get started today and pay later, PayPal Credit might be a great opportunity for you. Now, there's a very good book out there by Robert Kiyosaki. It is called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I don't know if any of you have read it, but it's a very good book on personal finance. It has been a New York Times bestseller for decades. And in the book, one of the things the author talks about is the phrase, I can't afford, or it costs too much. Like, I know buying this stock would provide me a 50% return on my investment, but I just can't afford it. So the author, he asks a much better question. He asks, how can I afford it? Because a statement like that, it completely shuts you down. But just by asking a question, your mind starts to open up and starts to look for answers, and it becomes much more resourceful. Here's the deal. The successful people like you and I, we don't worry about how much it costs. We only care about ROI. We only care about return on investment. So think about it, folks. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? I believe you can either make money or you can make excuses. If you want to make money, then get all the help you need. If you want to make excuses, then don't complain, folks. Don't complain about why you are stuck. Don't complain about why you are not getting the results that you want. Don't complain because you've hesitated long enough. Today is the day, folks. You have hesitated and waited long enough, and today is the day you said, it's my time. I'm going to do it because my family is worth it, my future is worth it, and I'm worth it. So again, folks, if you want to achieve true financial freedom or supplement your current income or take part in the profit that we're getting of up to 19.14% per trade, and you want to do it all by following a proven, modular, step-by-step framework that will leave no guesswork, even if you're a complete beginner, then Market Hero is specifically for you. That is the presentation, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I do not see the question box, so I'm going to maybe hang out for the next 2 minutes and answer some of the most frequently asked questions that we normally get. So one of the first questions that we normally get is, Stephen, I have a full-time day job. Will this work for me? Yes, it will. 85% of the current members of Market Hero also have full-time day jobs. So if you are one of those folks who has a full-time day job, you would be in the overwhelming majority of our membership. One of the other FAQs that I get is, Stephen, does this work if I live outside of the United States? Yes, of course it does. We have members from the US, Canada, the UK, Ireland, Germany, Italy, the Netherlands, Israel, Singapore, Australia, and New Zealand. So we have folks from all over the globe. In fact, right now, folks, 45% of our members live outside of the United States. So we can't just cater to our US customers. We have to be able to cater to customers all over the globe. Another FAQ that we get is, Stephen, I'm a complete newbie. Do you have other members of the program who are also newbies? Yes, we do, of course. About 15% of the new members who join this program have never placed a single trade in their entire lives. So I'll ask you the same question that I asked them. Are you willing and able to follow directions? If you are willing and able to follow directions, yes, Market Hero has a very good chance of working out for you. And let me think of, are there any questions in the chat box that are asked a few times for the moderators?
Yeah. Hey, Stephen, yeah, there's several of them came up, but one of them, a couple people have asked, what platform do you recommend or do you use? And do you have a preference on broker?
So I don't. I use Thinkorswim by TD Ameritrade, and the reason I use it is because it's just it's the only one I've ever used. As long as you can trade stocks and options, that is the requirement you need in terms of a brokerage account to be able to utilize our Market Hero methods.
Okay. Several questions came in about what's the worst day of the week to sell at open and buy back at close.
So if you guys remember that chart about the weekly setup, the only day of the week that has negative returns going back to 2000 is Friday. But what I will say is I never get short Thursday and buy it back on Friday. I don't double dip, if you will. I only do the first part of that, buy on Monday, sell on Tuesday.
Okay. And that was another series of questions comes up that it really only works on Monday to Tuesday.
So again, Friday does have negative returns, but
Sure.
it's so simple and it's so straightforward. Just, buy on Monday, sell on Tuesday.
Okay, great. And Stephen, one last question really from me, because I've been posing this to all of the folks that have been presenting today. In the current environment and with the election coming up, is there anything that concerns you or that you're specifically keeping an eye open to as it relates to all the volatility that we see in the market and some of the uncertainty that's there? Anything give you pause or anything that you're excited or looking forward to?
I'm always excited to trade, and I'm always excited I'm always excited to trade, and I'm always excited to wake up every day and help my members be much more consistent with their results. What I will say is, I think the idea that all of a sudden we're going to get this crazy volatility out of nowhere before the election, I think it's a little bit overstated, if you will. So I know there are going to be some folks out there that try to learn brand new strategies that are supposed to work amazing during the period leading up to the election. But my guess is the same tried and true methods, just like you saw in this presentation, are going to be the same tried and true methods that are going to be very successful, not only before the election, but for years and years to come.
Okay, super. Well, Stephen, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks.
Not only
Nice meeting you,
preparing
Ollie.
the presentation, giving the presentation, a power-packed hour, folks. And I'm just going to grab the screen from you just for a second here.
Thank you, Stephen.
You got it, Jay. Roll Tide.
No time.
Roll Tide.
It's like signing off Roll Tide.
You signing off Roll Tide. Anyway, folks, that was Stephen Brooks with Stony Brook Securities. Great presentation there. Just want to remind you, his special offer is Market Hero, which will give you profit crushing setups and his automation tools. It'll provide the cheat sheets and the daily morning game plan that he went over in some detail, as well as private consultation and a weekly live webinar training series. So go to stephenbrooks.co/VIP to take advantage of that. So once again, thank you, Stephen, for your time today and for that excellent presentation.